Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving deep into the game of psychological influence. We're going to break down those invisible forces that guide what people do and show you exactly how to go from being a pawn to being a player.
Okay, let's just sit with this idea for a second. This isn't just some catchy quote. It's about a fundamental choice you have to make in how you show up in the world. Are you going to be someone who just lets life happen to them, or are you going to be the one making the moves?
You see, life, business, relationships, you can think of them all as a game of persuasion. And the big difference between a player and a pawn, it's all in the mindset. A player is intentional, they're strategic, they're aware of the game being played. A pawn, on the other hand, is just kind of along for the ride. They're reactive, passive, and basically just watching from the sidelines while others make the moves.
So, if you want to be a player, you've got to know the rules of the game, right? That's what this first section is all about, getting a handle on the fundamentals.
Think about it. We are just bombarded with noise 24/7. And influence is the one skill that lets you cut through all of that static. It's this invisible force that builds trust, kicks open doors, and gets people to say yes. But here's the best part. It's not some magical talent you're born with. Nope. It is a skill, and that means you can learn it.
Now, this is where it gets really fascinating. We're going to look at how our brains are actually wired. And honestly, understanding this stuff is like someone handing you the secret rulebook to the whole game, because it explains why we do the things we do.
This is such a critical truth to understand about people. We all love to think we're these super logical beings, making decisions based on facts and data. But we're not. Most of the time, our choices come from our gut, from instinct, from emotion. The logic? Oh, that just shows up later to help us feel good about the decision we already made with our heart.
So, to make all these lightning-fast emotional decisions, our brains take shortcuts. We call them cognitive biases. They make us, well, predictably irrational. And today, we're going to zero in on 3 of the most powerful ones that show up in the game of influence.
All right, let's kick things off with the anchoring bias. This one is all about setting the frame. Whatever piece of information you hear first, that's the anchor. It has a huge impact on everything that follows.
Here's a perfect example. Imagine you walk into a store and see a shirt for $300. Oof, that's your anchor. Now, right next to it is a perfectly nice shirt for $79. Suddenly, that $79 shirt doesn't just look nice, it looks like an absolute steal. The first price totally changed your perception of the second one. Next up, we've got reciprocity. And this one is powerful because it's baked right into our social DNA. When somebody gives us something, we feel this almost automatic, deep-seated need to give something back. You know this feeling, right? You're at a store, someone gives you a free sample, and all of a sudden you feel this tiny little tug, this subtle obligation to maybe buy the full product. That's why the most effective people in businesses give tons of value up front. It builds that sense of loyalty and makes you want to return the favor.
And finally, there's social proof. This bias taps right into our ancient tribal programming to just follow the herd. I mean, for thousands of years, there was safety in numbers, and that instinct is still very much alive in our brains today.
You've totally done this. You walk by a restaurant and there's a huge line out the door. What's your first thought? Wow, that place must be amazing. That's why things like testimonials, 5-star reviews, and big follower accounts work so well. We see other people doing it, and our brain just goes, yep, that's the right choice. We trust what other people already trust.
Okay, so we get the psychology now. We know the rules of the game. So let's get practical. Let's open up the toolkit and look at the essential power-ups you need to really start playing.
Now, you could fill a whole library with tools, but it really boils down to these core 3. First, confidence. And I don't mean arrogance. I mean that quiet, internal certainty that you can handle whatever comes your way. Next is language, how you use words to frame your ideas and really connect with people. And finally, generosity. This is how you strategically use reciprocity, by giving value first without asking for anything in return.
In this is the power of language in action. Just look at the difference. It is night and day. On the left, I don't have much experience. Sounds, well, weak, right? Defeated. But on the right, you just reframe it. I bring a fresh, innovative perspective. It's the exact same situation, but the story you tell about it changes everything.
All right, we have to talk about this because it's absolutely critical. This ability to influence, it's a real power. And with great power comes great responsibility. You have to know where the ethical line is between influence and manipulation.
And the difference is actually crystal clear.
It all comes down to your intent. Influence is built on empathy and trust. It's about connecting with people to create win-win situations. Manipulation, that's the dark side. It's selfish. It's rooted in fear, in control, in deception, and it's all about personal gain. True, lasting power comes from connection, not control.
Okay, we've learned the rules, we've opened the toolkit. Now for the most important part, how do you actually take all this and start mastering the game, like today?
Well, here's the secret. It's not about memorizing a bunch of clever tricks or complicated scripts. It's much simpler than that. It's about developing a few key skills and then just intentionally putting them into practice.
So, if you want to start right now, here are your first moves. Start by giving value first. Offer help, share an insight. Put that reciprocity principle to work. Next, frame your conversations intentionally. Be the one to set that positive anchor. Then, start building your social proof. Share a testimonial. Talk about a small win. And finally, practice reframing your own perceived weaknesses into your greatest strengths.
And that, right there, is the crucial thing I want you to take away from all this. Influence is not some magic talent you're either born with or you're not. It is a trained skill. And like any skill, you can practice it, you can get better at it, and you can master it. The game is being played all around you all the time. The only question left is, are you ready to be a player? Because your training begins right now.